into the number of individuals that we have reason to believe suffered this fate.
Yet at Tel Aviv University, there lies a crucial clue to solving the mystery of this ancient execution technique. Physical evidence of an actual historical crucifixion.
Whenever I pull out the box from the safe, I'm getting excited. It's one of the... Whenever I pull out the box from the safe, I'm getting excited. It's one of the rare finds that I've ever encountered.
This heel still has the nail stuck in the bone. Discovered in 1968, this heel still has the nail stuck in the bone. Could this relic solve one of the world's greatest mysteries? Did Christ die on the cross? Has been studying this unique piece of evidence for decades. Professor Israel Hershkovitz has been studying this unique piece of evidence for decades and has dated it back to the time of Christ.
That we have for crucifixion. What we see here actually, this is the only evidence that we have for crucifixion. What we see here actually, the heel bone, it's almost a complete heel bone, and we see an iron nail actually running and penetrating from the side of the heel bone, coming out from the opposite side.
Archaeologists really put these remains through the ringer and conclusively have decided that this is an example of crucifixion. And it's stunningly important because it does prove that crucifixion was practiced during this time period in the Roman Empire.
Since its discovery in 1968 in an ancient Jewish crypt, only a handful of remains from other suspected crucifixion victims have been found, but none have stood up to the scrutiny of this heel bone.
The extraordinary thing about the discovery was that it has a bone with a nail still going through. This was the first time this had ever been discovered, and it proves, at least, that the Romans did crucify with nails.
Before this incredible find, historians were under the impression that most crucifixion victims weren't permitted a proper burial. It was thought their bodies were either left to rot where they hung, or were buried in a shallow grave. If that were the case, it would contradict the Bible's claim that Jesus' body was placed in a tomb. Yet this bone was found in an ossuary, in an ancient Jewish crypt.
We know that the name of the deceased, Yohanan, the name was engraved on the side of the ossuary in a Hebrew letter that we can even read today.
Since Yohanan was granted funeral rights, it proves that a part of the Bible's crucifixion story could be true, that Jesus was placed in a tomb after his body was removed from the cross.
Because Yohanan and his bones are unbelievably important for us, because not only was he crucified by the Romans, but he was crucified by the Romans in the same place as Jesus, in the same century as Jesus.
This find in Jerusalem is critically important in our consideration of whether the story of Jesus that we read in the Bible could have been true. They're both prominent Jews. They were given proper burials. So it's not as if this case of Jesus is just an anomaly.
This bone of Johanan could finally tell us what really happened that day to Jesus Christ.